Hi, welcome to Focus. Welcome to Big Smith News Watch. My name is Leroy Smith, and I have with me Mr. Anil Sukhdeo. He is the director of the Competition and Consumers Affairs Commission. We'll be speaking very briefly on a number of issues which we consider to be very important to you, the consumers out there. Mr. Sukhdeo, welcome to Big Smith News Watch. Welcome to Focus.
Thank you, Levi, for having me.
All right, so we're talking vehicles. Um, so let's jump right into it.
So let me give you a little background on the agency and what we've seen so far for 2023 in regards to the auto industry. So far, we've had complaints valuing just over 100 million Guyana dollars, and this is just the first quarter of the year. Just about 50 complaints, over $100 million. That's a significant number of complaints and a significant value when you think about it. So there are some happenings there in the industry that we're very concerned about. But we have resolved just about 33% of those complaints and returned to the consumers just about $30 million Guyana dollars back into the pocket. So when shopping, I want you guys to be consumers to be very careful when you're going out there. There are two significant investments that most Guyanese make. Leroy, can you make a guess? Well, you have one there. You have cars. What is the other significant investment?
Housing.
Houses, right? So when we notice these problems, we usually go upstream and target the issues at the root cause. So with the housing, I'll speak a little bit about the housing. We have what you call a housing roadmap. So for persons who are now getting involved in housing, they want to purchase land, want to construct their home, want to do it privately or through the Ministry of the Central Housing and Planning Authority. Our booklet outlines every single step of that process. So from the acquisition of land to your final walkthrough. So when we noticed there were issues in the housing industry, we created that booklet. First and foremost, empowerment and awareness is it's a big pillar in what we do. So we want to empower the consumers. So on that same line, on that same thought, we are working currently on a booklet for purchasing your vehicles. But I can give you a few tips when making out of the two of those significant investments. So when purchasing a vehicle, first thing you do is, and not many of us are aware of vehicles, you have to take someone with you. Someone just experienced, maybe a mechanic that you trust. You have to have them examine that vehicle thoroughly and have an assessment of the condition of the various parts and components. So awareness is key. You have to know what you're buying. So as we call it in the industry, asymmetric information is really a root cause of the failings or market failures in this industry. So when persons are aware of what the condition of a vehicle is, they're better informed to know what the value should be and better be able to make that choice. So number one, be aware of what you're purchasing. And when you don't have that knowledge, you have to take someone that does have that knowledge. So that's very important. Number two, I want you to consider financing. And I'll tie this in a little bit later with the Hire Purchase Act that was recently passed, I believe in December 2022. Consider your finances, know what your budget is, and know how best to appropriately approach that transaction financially. So you might have the cash, you might want to purchase it outright, or you might want to take it on terms. But be very aware of what your financial condition and appetite is. So think about that carefully. So those are two very important tips there: knowledge of what you're buying, and knowledge of your own personal finances. There's also knowledge of your rights as consumers. Which is when those rights are trampled upon, we actually come into play to reinforce your rights as consumers. So you have, again, the right to knowledge, the right to safety. So your vehicle must be in a safe condition. Um, so please do exercise those rights when you visit those auto dealers.
What are the of that figure,
Mhm.
more than 100 million
Mhm.
so far for the year, in relation to auto issues with
Mhm.
consumers? What were some of the repeating
Yeah.
or common denominators in the cases that you're getting?
Right. We've noticed a lot of the complaints focused on the internal engine parts or very important components such as the transmission. So, and that's not something you're going to figure out that something is wrong with until you drive that vehicle for a significant period of time. So, a test drive, while it is recommended, it's not something you can pick up instantaneously, which is why maybe you can have your mechanic look at it and think like, oh, this looks like it's used. Secondly, we've had a lot of problems with used spare parts. So you might buy a part, and for whatever reason, it's used, right? So it's not going to be 100% in 100% condition. The problem is there's that disconnect there with the supplier and the person that would have installed it. Many times, the part does not function the way it's supposed to. So we want you to be very careful when purchasing your spare parts. Please examine it, and please have it installed appropriately by a certified or trusted mechanic.
All right. On the issue of returns and getting persons back their monies and so on, how much of a challenge is it for the entity, Competition and Consumers Affairs Commission? How difficult is the challenge dealing with the person who is actually selling the vehicle?
So it can be quite a difficult transaction because of the nature of the goods. They're usually purchased and registered. This is when you buy it outright in your name, so it's purchased and registered in your own name. But we have in the past have vehicles returned to the dealers. So it's not that we can't. It's just a bit difficult and lengthy. So we want you to be aware of the time. There's a time process. There's a process there. It might take some amount of time, maybe 1 to 2 to 3 months, depending on the nature of the case and of your vehicle. So just again, all of this can be avoided if, or most of it, if you're very careful about your financial, your purchases.
Is there anything else you'd like to add or share with our consumers in relation to the sale and purchase of automobiles?
Right. So I'll bring it back to what I said earlier about the Hire Purchase Act. So that's something that each and every one of us should take a look at. So that gives us as consumers certain protections. And suppliers too. Their protection there, so their suppliers, very fair and equal law. But for consumers, there are some clauses in there that work to your benefit, such as if you were to pay, but I believe it's more than 70%, your vehicle cannot be seized outright. There would need to be a court order issued to the supplier for the seizure of that vehicle. So that's one protection there that's now built into the law. Secondly, if they were to seize, I believe they would have to give 21 days for that seizure. And third and important aspect of that is there's a section that deals with returns within 7 days. So suppose you have buyer's remorse, and it happens very often. Maybe you might have bought Leroy. Let's say you bought an X-Trail. You don't want an X-Trail. You want that new BMW. You might have purchased it on a high purchase. So within 7 days, you can cancel or nullify that transaction. Just in the case that you do have buyer's remorse. But I want to encourage, and I close by saying, I want to encourage you to take a look at our website. That's www.ccac.gov.gy. We have materials there. If you're a first-time purchaser of a vehicle, I want you to go take a look at our site and check for our vehicles checklist. It's very simple. It's a one-page document, and it tells you all the items and components that you need to check when purchasing your vehicle. Additionally, if you have any complaints, if you're unsure about anything in that process of purchasing on a vehicle, you can give us a call at 219-4410, and you can reach us at extension 104. So we're here to help you. Our services are free, and I encourage you to reach out to us if you have any concerns.
That was Anil Sukhdeo. He's the director of the Competition and Consumers Affairs Commission. Of course, we'll be having frequent conversations with representatives of that agency as we seek to empower you, the consumers, with the knowledge and information you need when going about your purchases and to also understand what rights you have as consumers. This has been a production of the Big Smith News Watch. My name is Leroy Smith. Have a fantastic rest of the day.